Tonight, Jim will tell you how you can take your speaking to the next level by changing the focus of your speeches. You will learn about a tool that you can use that will help you improve dramatically. Jim will also discuss the issues involved with speaking professionally. Our next speaker has been a Toastmaster for over 2 years. He is a professor at UD, and when not teaching, he is a full-time dad to his son, Patrick. Please welcome with me our next speaker, Jim Buckley, and the title of his speech is It's Not About You. And is that a 5 to 7 minute speech?
5 to 7, yeah.
Very good.
Now, I hope this is educational. Who here can tell me the most important part of any presentation? The most important part of any presentation?
Intent.
Yes.
The message.
Message? That is important. That's not the most important.
The intent.
The
of
intent?
message.
Okay, that's also important. Not the most important, though.
The results.
The
The end.
The end? That's
The middle. With your audience.
keeping your audience on the edge of their seats. Actually, Gary, yours is kind of close, the results. Actually, the most important part is the thought process in your audience's mind, which is really the results of your speech, because if you understand how your audience is thinking, you can figure out how to phrase your message so that they are able to understand you better. So in other words, stop worrying about you, about your speech, and start worrying about your audience and what they're going to come away with. Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, distinguished guests, it's not about you. When you go to speak in front of an audience, your head's probably all filled with different ideas, maybe racing, thinking about what you're going to have for lunch or dinner. Your stomach maybe having some butterflies, depending on how comfortable you are, what the audience is that you're speaking to. Maybe if it's an audience that has to do with healthcare, maybe that right now might be a little bit more nervous than other audiences. And you also may feel very tense. However, that's because you've internalized everything. You're thinking about yourself, but what you want to do is think about the audience, about you. Not about me, but about the audience. And if you do that, that will relieve your nervousness as well as refocus what your message is and the way that you present the material. By doing this, you'll actually greatly not only relieve your nervousness, but also you will take your speaking to the next level, because you'll start focusing on the audience rather than focusing on yourself. Of course, things like vocal variety, those types of issues are important. If you focus on your audience and you're not really saying things very well, that's not going to be beneficial. However, that actually gets into my next topic, which is, first I'll ask this question. How many of you have aspirations to be someday a professional speaker? Or to speak for money of some sort, speak for a living. To get cash. Okay, so how many of you are serious about being a professional speaker? Okay. I'll rephrase the question. How many of you record yourself every time you speak? Okay, so definitely not as many hands. Now, if you really want to become a professional speaker, it's important to record yourself, because recording yourself will help you to advance more than anything else that you can do in terms of speaking in terms of communication. And you might say, well, I don't like the way I sound, or I don't like the way I look, I don't want to watch myself. Well, if you don't like the way you sound, well, we have to listen to it, so why shouldn't you have to listen to it as well? And also, I'd have to say, having done it myself, you do get, initially it is a little bit different when you listen to yourself on tape than what you think you sound like. But once you hear yourself a few times, you will get used to it. And also, if you don't take time to listen to yourself, well, to record yourself and listen to yourself for your own self-improvement, then why should anyone else bother to listen to you? So if you're just going to keep on speaking, never really trying to improve yourself, then why is the audience going to be interested in what you have to say? And lastly, there's nothing that I or an evaluator or a coach or a mentor could tell you that is more powerful than you listening to you. Nothing more powerful than you listening to you. And I can tell you that from firsthand experience because I have listened and watched myself, and sometimes it's not pretty, but you do learn a lot. And but the highs are also much higher than anything that you'll obtain from somebody else just saying, "Oh, that was a good speech." If you actually see yourself giving a speech that you know you did much better than you had previously, you feel really good about it. I should mention one thing that probably you would think comes with the territory. When you record yourself, also listen to yourself. So you could record yourself all the time and never listen to it and say, well, I'm recording myself, I'm not improving whatsoever, and I followed your advice. Well, also make sure to listen to yourself as well. But I guess that kind of goes without saying. And I should mention that this particular speech is not a manual speech because it's not original. It's kind of called from, or inspired by Darren LaCroix, listening to some of his CDs. And he actually has a closet. I mean, he's a 2001 world champion of public speaking, and he's got a closet filled with, well, at that time, video tapes and cassette tapes. Thousands of hours of tapes that he has of himself that he said that he used to improve. He said it's a process. Some people have it, but a lot of people, there's a process that you go through to become better. Now, thirdly, one of the issues in terms of speaking professionally, the first issue is why you? Why is anybody going to pay to hear you speak? That's important. If you can't answer that question, then you probably may not want to pursue, or at least you want to be able to answer that if you do want to pursue professional speaking. The second one is, who is going to pay to hear you speak? In other words, who is your target audience? And the third question is, how do you get in front of that audience? And that in and of itself I could talk probably 10 minutes just on that topic alone, and actually Darren LaCroix does talk for quite a while. He has a whole paid to speak boot camp that he talks about how to get in front of the right crowd. But one thing he says that everybody started out pretty much speaking for free. He said the highest paid, I'm going to get out of time here, but the highest paid public speaker at the time that, this is a number of years ago, was paid $375,000 an hour, and when he first started out speaking, he did it for free and gave away just cassette tapes, and that's how he got pretty popular. So in summary, the message that I have to present is, it's about the audience. Make sure that you're concerned with what they take away from your speech. Secondly, record yourself and listen to yourself. That's important. And lastly, figure out what you have to offer your audience and what that audience is. So it's not about you, it's about what you have to give to your audience. Mr. Toastmaster.